Right, so let's make this episode 18. Episode 18 of trying to reduce our carbon footprint. So in episode 17, I kind of came up with some options after something has come to our notice that some of the carbon footprints that we're trying to reduce are just being transferred. They're not actually being reduced. They're just being transferred to some other locations. So, and we came up with a number of options. So 3 options. Option 1, to kill the project. Option 2, just go ahead, do nothing, just continue with the project and not really bother about the fact that the carbon that we're thinking we're reducing is just being transferred to somewhere else. And then option 3 is to kind of reduce our expectations, I'll call it. So the original objective could be to reduce carbon footprint by 80%, and then we'll say, okay, let's reduce it by 50% because we know that it's not actually being reduced, but it's just being transferred. So let's just play out the scenario of what option 1 would look like. Option 1, which is killing the project, stopping the project. So we're in the middle of a project and then it happens that we need to stop working on the project. So regardless of what stage the project is in, so we know the project lifecycle, initiation, planning, execution, and then closing. Regardless of what stage the project is in, so if the project is in the initiation stage, if it's still in the idea stage, we're still just coming up with the idea. Immediately we decide that we want to stop the project, then we'll go straight into closing the project. So we don't need to go through the full life cycle if we're closing the project. The decision has been taken to close the project. If it's in planning, if we're still planning and we decide that we want to close the project, we just go straight into closing. If it's in execution, we want to close the project, we just go straight into closing. But I think from my experience, a lot of work would be done. More work will be done if the project is already in kind of execution stage when the decision to close the project is made. So planning, you've just planned and rubber has not really started hitting the road. You've just planned and all you need to do is to just close the plan, inform stakeholders, just confirm that funds are not being released. Everyone is being, all the resources that plan to work on the project are being released and gone into different teams or other projects. In the initiation stage, you don't really need to do much. If people have already started drawing funds from the costs account or cost center or whatever it's called, all that is just is more about communication. I know according to project management professional and a lot of project management frameworks out there, it says communication is about 90% of project management. I say it's 120%. Communication is 120% or even more of project management. Right. So in the example that we're talking about here, we are more around the execution stage. So we've already started doing the do. So we might need to increase the frequency of our meetings. So the fact that we're no longer going ahead with the project does not mean that everything will just stop automatically. As a project management professional, it is your responsibility to close the project properly. And what does that entail? There is the possibility that funds will keep getting drawn from the cost accounts, from the cost center, from the project accounts, if the project is not closed. So yes, we will communicate with stakeholders that a decision has been taken and a lot of thought has to go into what would be included in that communication. So it wouldn't just be project is no longer going, bye, okay, bye. No. A lot of thought has to be put into what goes into that, because you're communicating with people that have put a lot of efforts into something, and you're not telling them that you're no longer going ahead with what they have use their blood, sweat, and toil to work on. So some emotional intelligence have to be put in, some empathy has to be put in as well. So people understand, or they see that you understand the effort that they've put in. You acknowledge the effort that they've put into that project to get it to where they are. So the fact that we're not going ahead does not mean all their effort has gone to waste. So you kind of draft that into the communication as well. That comes with a lot of experience. I can tell you for free. You could be drafting that communication for days, even weeks, because it has to land properly. In some environments, that the communication might even have to go through approval stages, so that all the right level of stakeholders could even get to the highest level, get sight of that information, of that message that will go out. And it might even be the CEO that will send that message. So it's coming from top down. Everyone feel that the CEO has acknowledged the work that they're doing on that project, and the project is no longer going ahead, and the CEO is disappointed, but yeah, for reasons, good reasons, valid reasons. So a lot goes into that. It's not something that we can cover in 6, 7, 10 minutes. It's something that happened for days. But what I just want to call out is a lot has to go into killing the project, stopping the project, make sure funds are not being spent, communicate clearly and with empathy. Let's leave it there for today, and then we'll see you on the other side. Cheers. Bye-bye.